meetup. That was the time when we interacted, but it was a one-way interaction because it was a recorded message. So I do hope that today, though there are fewer people, there will be some opportunity to interact and really speak to each other about the expectations that you come with and like the kind of expectations we have. But also, this is also a moment where I want to communicate back to the alumni. What are the directions in which the money that you're contributing for fundraiser event and different sort of themes that we have had in the previous years? Where is that money going? What proportion is supporting whom? What is really the corpus like? So some of those things I really want to be very open in communicating to you about. And I'll just quickly sort of I have a very small presentation and I'll share my screen. So can just somebody let me know if my screen is visible.
It is now visible.
Okay, great. So basically this is, this short presentation will let you know that in the past few years, what has really been the contribution, how many people came forward together, and what were the purposes for which your contributions were utilized by IIIT, and what are the ways in which it ended up benefiting your juniors now. So basically, if you look at the past few years, the current donation count stands at around 585. So 585 contributions from our Alumni Association or the members of the Alumni Association have come to the Alumni Association Fund. And the current director had set some kind of a target. This was probably done before I was a part of the office of the alumni, but the target count for 2022 was somewhere close to 1,500. The idea was that by 22 we will have close to 3,000 alumni, which includes the current batch who is to graduate soon, about that of 500. So 2,600 existing plus 500, which makes it close to 3,100. The idea was that out of it, at least 50% of the alumni need to come forward. So that's a target we are functioning with. We may reach it, we may not reach it, but these are essentially ways in which we plan a certain vision for the Alumni Association and for the Office of Communication and Alumni Affairs to function with. So this is where we stand currently. In terms of what have you really enabled by your contribution, 585 is a great number. There's potential for improvement, but this is pretty good for an institution which is so young and which is sort of the batches of alumni are just getting together in the past few years. So what have your efforts really translated into? And one of the very important things that Alumni Association contributions went into was that during the COVID-19 crisis, when all of a sudden we moved into a remote learning mode, and many people at that time did not have access to basic minimum resources to support an online mode of learning. And at that time, our alumni came forward and we collected a total corpus of 106,620 from our alumni through the donation drive that was done to support internet connection cost. And along with that, from the association, we contributed another 67,380. And you would be very happy to know that your contributions, it led to about 145 students get access to learning and studying for a period of 2 years. So it went into supporting their internet connections of 1,200 rupees each, which costed for an entire semester around 300 per month. But basically it is because of your effort that we had some 145 students whose education was not disrupted during the pandemic. And when we look at the larger ecosystem outside IIIT, we know there were a lot many people who lost out. So I would say that I'm extremely thankful to the Alumni Association that you made sure that people within IIIT do not lose out because of the kind of contribution you made. Another very important initiative, which was enabled because of the funds that you supported, was basically providing laptops to students. When people were within IIIT, there were ways in which they could access teachers easily. There were ways in which they could have access to hardwares and softwares. And for some people who are coming in from certain kind of a socioeconomic disadvantage, that might not be easy. So 1,42,148 rupees actually went into procuring laptops for 3 students. And given the background of COVID, you would know how critical this was as a resource for them, right? And it continues to be. And even in today's fundraiser, we are making sure that some of the funds do get diverted towards providing such systems to basically the students who cannot afford it. Finally, I think, and this is extremely critical, Alumni Association funds also supported the travel cost for 3 of our BTech students. These 3 BTech students, they came first in the ACM ICPC regional 2019 competition, and then they had to travel to Portugal for the finals. And basically, the Alumni Association contributed an amount of 1,18,380 rupees, which really enabled these students to participate in the world finals. See, it might look like the money went into somebody's travel, but imagine the amount of exposure that not just these 3 students got, but also what it enabled for IIIT-D as a whole to get a representation at such a prestigious platform. So while the immediate output might sound low or trivial, it is actually not trivial if you look at the larger scheme of things. It's not just these 3 students who went, it was literally IIIT that went to the ACM ICPC finals. So no matter what contribution it is, the contribution is never really small, because in many ways it feeds into a much larger purpose, a much larger cause. And that is what we are constantly looking forward. I think one of the things that I would really like to state currently, that it's not about the amount. It's not about what sum of money you contribute. It's more about the spirit with which you do it. This spirit of giving back to the institute is not simply supporting students, right? It is also nurturing an entire next generation of students and basically training them into ways which they will then imbibe to give back to their next group. So I think one of the best things about alumni associations really functioning is this idea that you move out of the institution and yet you never move out. A part of you will always be there, as Smriti was saying, that let IIITD always be a part of you. And that is true for alumni associations across the world, that it just helps you stay grounded. It helps you stay connected no matter in which part of the world you really are. So like I said, the 2 sort of very clear objectives as part of this kind of a event was, one, of course, transparency, and the last few slides were an attempt to ensure that. And the second is, of course, raise funds. So this time we planned it slightly differently in comparison to the earlier efforts, and we thought it might be a good idea to have the student affairs office, student welfare basically, and the entrepreneurship cell within IIITD to come up and talk about their projects. And the alumni will then, and also including along with this, the third thing that we have is basically the contribution that goes towards the laptop scheme. The idea was that let alumni choose what is the cause to which they relate the most. What is it that really strikes a chord within their hearts, and let them come forward in the form of very generous support to whoever is presenting these ideas. Basically, what do you then get in return? What is there for the alumni in the process? One, of course, I think when you give something to someone, there is always something you take back with you, and that is the feeling of gratitude and happiness, right? We all end up doing things for ourselves, but real joy comes in when we do things for others. In the larger scheme of things, it might look trivial, but if you ponder a bit about it, I think this is what the world is really missing, of people doing things for each other rather than for themselves. And this is a very small way in which we also envisage this idea of a better world, by doing things for others. The second is that because you have gone through training, you have gone through work experience, you have gone through very, very real life situations, the idea is that you can actually lend a helping hand to those who are just starting out in their journeys, right? People who are just starting out with their startup activities, with their entrepreneurship activities, actually look forward to having mentors who can guide them. The part of this alumni fundraiser that focuses on incubation cell activities is also to inculcate this culture of mentoring, right? Hand-holding, sometimes giving a sound opinion on what is the best way of doing things forward when literally everything is cloudy and everything is shady. So the idea is this is also an opportunity for mentorship. And finally, as with all the donations that are made through the Alumni Association are also subject to taxes exemption under the Section 80G of Income Tax Act of 1961. So whatever contribution you make, this will also be tax exempted. So there is also some immediate monetary kind of benefit for that, for you there. So with this, I'll not take too much time. I would just like to say that, stay with us through the entire duration of the event, listen to ideas, and if something strikes you in the heart, please come out generously in support of that idea, not just financially, but also more in terms of intellectual support as well. Right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Paro, for your words and sharing these insights with the alumni community. Now, next we have an inaugural address by Director Professor Ranjan Bose. Since he could not be present here for the live interaction, he has shared a recording of his address with us. So I'll just share my screen with you all.
Sorry, Dipali, we can't really hear Professor Bose when the audio is not there in the recording.
Known for its alumni.
Now it's better.
Okay, all right, sorry.
A hearty welcome to the Alumni Fundraiser, Make a Change. As you know, alumni are our brand ambassadors, and an institute is known for its alumni. So first, let me give you some updates on how we are as an institute changing for the better. Then, of course, we will seek your help and suggestions to make things better and, of course, make a change. So firstly, the perspective of higher education is changing. And what we're asking now is, first, what does the world need? And number two, how do we actually enable our students to make a difference? What really matters is IIIT-Delhi students must stand out. Their aim should be to change the world around them. So we have started some very interesting initiatives at IIIT-Delhi. For example, we now have a Center of Excellence in Healthcare, on sustainable mobility, a technology innovation hub, a Center for Technology in Policing, plus we already have a Center for AI and Center for Design and New Media. And these centers are spawning different kinds of interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary research. To add to all of this, at the Institute, we also have a very active incubation center, which is quite well funded by MIT, DST, the Delhi government. So the entire pipeline from pre-incubation to incubation, mentoring startups, right up to their people do ideating, creating new technologies, and right up to commercialization. So IIIT-D is already known for its top-class research. But in addition to this, we will be known for innovation, innovative thinking, and basically the entrepreneurial spirit of our students and faculty. We are doing a couple of things to nurture this. We have an Institute Innovation Council. We also have a and they work together with a faculty in charge entrepreneurship to develop and strengthen the spirit of entrepreneurship on campus. So what we are trying to really do is to strengthen the entrepreneurial thinking, and to that effect, we have also started a minor in entrepreneurship. To make sure that we get good inputs from industry, we have introduced recently a professor of practice, where experts with significant experience in the industry or in the startup world, they can come and now teach our students and interact with them. So in our endeavor for Industry Connect, we recently had this Research and Innovation Showcase, RISE 2022, just 2 weeks back. It was just a conference of a lot of thought leaders, researchers, developers, etc., who are passionate about bringing new change. We had all kinds of areas: AI, healthcare, sustainability, cyber physical systems, etc. So the whole idea was that people should talk, collaborate, and we already have several new leads coming from this RISE 2022. As you also know, we are also globally connected, and a lot of our faculty members do interact with international faculty and have collaborative work going on. Recently, we signed an MOU with the Artificial Intelligence Institute of University of South Carolina, USA. And yesterday we had a workshop. Of course, it is a day-night workshop. The time here has to coincide with the time in the US. We also already have MOUs with QUT Australia, University of Buffalo, Arctic University at Norway, and so on and so forth. So basically the whole idea is to be globally connected, which is one of our mantras here. We also have an Office of International Affairs now with a full force faculty in charge who is taking care of international admissions. In fact, we have doubled the international students on campus in the past 2 years. We have taken some initiatives to strengthen the well-being on campus for students, for faculty. We now have a well-being cell which has been revamped, and there are a lot of active sessions being held, especially during the COVID period. We are also trying to get a new online counseling service. We are trying it out called Your Dost for students, faculty, and staff on campus. So hopefully this mental health is being looked at in a very holistic manner. Of course, the sports block is now active thanks to the reduction in COVID, but we have to see what the ground reality is and so on and so forth. But a lot of activities are being arranged. The Students Affairs Office has really upped its lot of new activities, talent night, cadence, etc. are happening. So a lot of things are happening. We are trying to ensure that our students get the best facility to reach their potential and hopefully make a difference outside. So coming back to you now, our alums, our brand ambassadors, our flag bearers, here are some expectations from you. And we really think we can benefit immensely from you. First of all, you are our representatives. So you uphold our reputation. And this is one thing we really need you to help us with. Be our brand ambassadors, spread the good word around. Carry forward the legacy and share your achievements with us so that we can publicize them. And now coming to the most important point, help us with fundraising and giving back. Let giving back be a habit. The quantum doesn't matter. It is the feeling, it is the habit that you should get into it. And it's a good habit to cultivate. So this is an event which will hopefully encourage you to consider giving back to IIITD. We have various buckets. We have research, campus infrastructure, whatever you feel like, whatever you feel passionate about, wherever you think you need to improve things on campus, entrepreneurship, student welfare. We have the endowment fund, the legacy fund. So please feel free to be associated with one of the causes, at least one cause, and try to contribute back. That is in terms of money. Of course, we would welcome you to mentor our students here. So give back to those who are coming behind you so that they can benefit from your experience and your network, right? Plus, some of you, after getting your hands dirty, you're more than welcome to come back and start an entrepreneurial venture on campus. We would encourage that. We have residents in fellow scholarships available, fellowships available, which can support startup activity by our alums. So we would love that. Plus, we have tried to strengthen our alumni network. You are a part of it. Stay connected. We have partnered with Alma Connect. We have a couple of alumni chapters in the Bay Area, in Bangalore, etc. So please help strengthen the alumni network. So with that, I thank you again for signing in to this virtual event, and please stay connected with the Institute and help us grow. Please give back to the Institute in whatever way you can. Thank you so much for your attention and have a great day.
Okay, so now next I would like to invite Professor Jalote to give his address to the alumni, which will be followed by an interactive session. So over to you.
Okay, thanks. So I was told I have about 20 minutes. What I thought I'll do is about 10 minutes I'll mention some points, and then 5-10 minutes I always, rather than speaking to you, I would like to speak with you. So let's just, to set the context, so I wrote down some points. I want to talk about on giving. Institute is something I no longer that embedded that sort of into the institute, this thing, or the institute functionaries and everybody will tell you about the institute. I want to just discuss with you on giving, and and also share my own sort of journey in that it's not just that I'm talking, but one has been doing that also. So just a few points. First, to set the context, you, just like I was, are well placed, earning well, you have a great career ahead, you have that great journey, great future ahead. And there is no doubt it is due to your efforts, your intelligence, your initiative, your family, but also family and luck. But do not forever, anytime discount that it also is due to the education you got. Not just from us, from any other place you may have been educated. Education today, as you know, plays a very, very important role in where you end up reaching, certainly in the tech. Uh, so I think most of our alum, if we look at the compensation they start with, the growth, etc., they're probably already in the top few percent in whatever country you are in. There is no doubt about it. In India, the people who are earning, even the average salary or a little bit more they are already in top 1 or 2%, right? If you just look at the statistics of that, I'm sure the same holds, maybe slightly more, fewer, higher percent in US, but it's about the same. So if you are already in the top few percent of the society in terms of your earning, please do recognize that it's a society that makes us, not just alone, right? I mean, yes, we can take the fact that I worked, etc., but there is always a lot the society, which includes so many other things, contributes to our growth. So therefore, I think it's a good idea to consider giving back. Now, why should you give back? You say, hey, look, I worked hard, I did this, I did, why should I give back? Now, let me just give you a few reasons. First is just your own happiness and satisfaction. There's umpteen studies to show that giving is one of the best ways to get more happiness in your life. It's probably out after relationships, and this thing is probably in the top 3 items. Okay, there is no doubt about it. And then there is a question, you reach somewhere in society, there are others who are probably less privileged than you, less who have not made it as much. There are people who are really disadvantaged. Uh, there is a certain moral obligation. I think people who earn in the top few percent have, I believe, a certain moral obligation to support people don't have or less haves. So even if you just consider your own happiness, your own satisfaction in life, and the fact that we've, all of us, me inclusive, you guys there, we've reached wherever we have reached due to a certain set of circumstances supported by the society around us, it's incumbent upon us, the privileged ones, to give back to the society. Certainly in some place like India where we know the kind of challenges we feel. The third point I just want to mention about academics in general, academic institutions. You would have read, in India, India is not the top place for academic institutions. We have good institutions, and then it rapidly falls. But if you just think about it and do a little bit more deeper study, you'll find that autonomous institutions that have more autonomy generally tend to do better. whether it's IITs, IIMs, and of course IIIT, which has a lot of autonomy. Undoubtedly, there is lots of arguments that can be given why autonomy is essential for an academic institution to do well. In our country, we don't see the autonomy too much. We fortunately have it, but the autonomy comes with having financial autonomy. You cannot have autonomy without having financial autonomy. Okay? Just globally, in US, those of you who are in US, you would see all the top institutes, they're all private in their universities, they're all financially completely. So I think if you feel and giving, if you feel that it is a good idea to give, it's better to start early, because I'll just come to it in a moment. It's not easy to give, by the way. So if you feel ready to give, I'm sure you're already giving, but if you feel ready to increase the giving you want to do, there's a couple of obvious things. First, you have to decide what is the causes you want to support. Is it hunger? Is it education? Is it higher education? Is it gender diversity? What have you, right? There are just so many, climate, so many causes, right? What are the causes that you believe in, that you would like to support? Okay, that is very, very personal, and you have to decide that, right? And then, even after deciding that, then you have to actually do the act of giving. And it usually helps if you have a calendar of some kind, right? A calendar maybe of your birthdays, your parents' birthdays, your children's birthday, your spouse's birthday, etc., etc., are good ways to do it. So this is the context. Now, suppose you have decided that you want to increase giving to some causes that you want to support. And now really comes the hard part, believe you me. Most donors want to give to some organizations they can trust. They believe that the organization is working towards the goal they have stated, which aligns with your causes. And you want to make sure that your hard earned money, which you are giving part of, is being utilized judiciously. Right? This is, by the way, a big challenge, not an easy thing to do. Okay, I've over the years, I'll share my some experience also, supported lots of organizations, and every time I want to do something, it's a challenge to find the right places to give, because I'm not going to do those things myself, right? Because there's so many good people doing good stuff, but you have to find the good people, because there's also so many not so good people doing stuff and taking your money. And this is how I think, for some causes that you want to support, you may find your alma mater as a good vehicle to support. So I'm for that you have to decide the causes you want to support. You may find that, hey, look, the causes I want to support include, for example, higher education. Then you will naturally find your alma mater as a good place, because it's a trustworthy, transparency, as she just showed you, complete transparency. You know the systems here. You know that it's all, a fine institution, and so on, right? So a couple of thoughts which I can just mention. If you want to, for example, support students, those who come from privileged or less privileged backgrounds. For example, you will hear about a laptop scheme. We have students who come with 100% fee waiver, where the families are earning very little. We did a survey. We found that, hey, look, in IIIT, as you know, having a laptop is an advantage. Not having one is going to be a disadvantage for you to study well. So we started right in first year that they can do it. So I was funding it. You will hear about it. I've already proposed that if the alumni want to fund it, I can provide the matching. But there is, if you want to, later, for example, this could be the starting point. Later, you can support the scholarships. We support 100% scholarships for a whole bunch of students, 50%, 25%. That has been right from year one, from your time. It's always been there. The numbers are increasing. The good thing is these students come completely on their merit. In fact, more so because they're coming from a disadvantaged background and yet they make it. So they do deserve support, no doubt about that. So you can consider this scheme if you relate to the cause of higher education for as many good people, deserving people. If you relate to that cause, you'll already find this thing. If you want to support, for example, broader growth of students in higher education, then of course you know all the student clubs is that I believe you have presentations that will be there. If you want entrepreneurship, you can do that. Right? Later, I don't think in the early stages most people will be supporting research, but suppose you do in later stages, probably. If you want to support research, now we are seeing more and more Indians supporting research. There's some very big supports to institutions. Then you can support projects, you can support centers if you're really big, and PhD fellowships, etc. Okay, so my take is, since you are already in the top few percent, I think we all, not just you, we all ought to be giving some portion of our income, hard earned though it is nonetheless fortuitous. It is based on a lot of support from the larger society around us. Therefore, for a host of reasons, my own happiness, my moral obligations, etc., we ought to be giving as much as we can. You probably already all are, and increase as much as you can. Right? So that's the first thing. And when you do decide, then you have a challenge of what is it that you want to support. There are a million things in the world that need support of you. What is it that you want to support? Because after all, we'll give a little bit. What would you want to support? And then you may find that, hey, look, you need to find good, trustworthy organizations. You may find for many of them your own alma mater may be doing that. Okay, just to share a little bit about as a person, just as a personal journey. So we started for perhaps due to the learnings I had from my parents, etc. We started very early there. So in the start, we would, for example, give give funds to those organizations that will support children, and we would use sort of children's birthdays to do the yearly giving. So that was what we would start on birthdays. We would give out, and there was one or two other identified dates on which we will try to find some organization and support something. Later, as we got better off, we started giving more in the name of my father and mother. And there we started supporting women's education. My mother was an educationist, so we started supporting women's education. My father was, he had cataract and various other. So we started supporting cataract operations. And there's a host of organizations, by the way, for this. And you always have to do a little due diligence to find the right organizations, etc. So elderly people, cataract operation, women, this thing we started doing that. Further on, later on, as I was fortunate to have investments that did very, very well, so when you get further off, you can increase the quantum of giving. So I've given to my alma mater, IIT Kanpur, substantial for various things. I also considered IIT-Delhi as my, in some sense, alma mater. I've also contributed back there because I gained a lot from these institutions, so I've given back whatever little I can. But significantly, most of the significant contributions I've made is to IIIT in the education space. And you'll hear about the laptop scheme, which during COVID times I started. It's already, I'm sure they will tell you about it. And I think it's a good scheme to carry on. I promise only for a few years. I hope alumni would take it forward. In COVID times, we realized that there is need for a student welfare kind of fund. So we were able to create a student welfare account, which is outside of the institute, and so on and so forth. We created a chair and a faculty research fellowship. And finally, I'm also now sponsoring, so this is in the research fund, I'm also sponsoring a social startup in the space of environment, etc. So I always keep looking out for within the institute and outside for things that resonate with me to share whatever we uh, can can share. Okay, so that's all I want to say. We still would have 5-10 minutes for any interaction you may want. Thank you very much for listening. So I hope we still have 7 minutes, 10 minutes for interaction.
Yes, Professor Jalote. The floor is open for the alumni. If you have any questions or you want to interact with them, whatever you want to ask, basically. So.
Thanks, Professor Jalote, for like sharing how you think about giving. I'd love to maybe ask you, how do you think about, or when you were early in your career, how did you think about it like more tactically? Because I'm trying to think from a point of view of an alumni, like, we have expensive houses to buy, all these like different life milestones, sometimes families to support and whatnot. And that's one of the top reasons that often come up, even though we are all very privileged in how much we earn. There's always that like next milestone a lot of people are saving up for. So if you could share any like tips on tactically, how would you, every month when the paycheck comes in, how would you go from there to actually then giving it at some point?
So I completely get it, and in fact more so in India. I mean, those days our salaries were 4,000, 5,000 rupees. So you're right. You have to balance your needs and your and your family needs, which have to take primacy over. But nonetheless, as we said, once we accept that we are privileged, there is clearly room, right? Now that room, whether it is this much or very little, that is based on my other needs, and that's a call personally you'll have to make. But tactically, what you can do is you can identify, you can say, I will commit to X% of my salary this thing. So I used to do that. We will maintain a record that this year I should have given this much, this year I should have given this much, okay, based on my earning. We may not match it year to year. We may end up giving bigger thing in 1 year. And I'm saying it, we tried to. It's not that every year we will write down on December 31st something, but we did try to maintain what do I owe, so to say, to my commitment of giving in this year. And then, over certain years, one would balance out. Later on, I stopped doing that because I was giving more than what my percentage would have required. So this is one approach which may or may not work for you. But you still have to commit to say, okay, I will give X amount a year. And
Right.
I'll find ways to save from my commitments into that. And there is always, right, the boundaries of what we are committed to are flexible enough to give you that 1, 2, 3% that you may.
Got it. Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
I have a question as well, and the question is essentially there's a philosophy around.
Hi, how are you doing? It says that you're Deepak Sood, but you're not Deepak, right? Who's? Go ahead.
I think Raghav said he is asking.
Oh, yeah, I know
Raghav,
it's
please go
Raghav.
ahead.
I know it's Raghav, but it came. Yeah, Raghav, go ahead. Your name wasn't appearing. Please go ahead.
Hi. Is it appearing now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
great.
no, but I can recognize you. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Hey, folks, I'm Raghav. I'm from the batch of 2013. Yeah, so Dr. Jalote, I had a question for you. There's a philosophy around what's called effective altruism. And the fundamental idea there is like you should try to find stuff that would not happen otherwise and try to make that happen. So I'm curious whether you like how you think about that, and if any of the opportunities for giving a IIIT sort of meet that criteria.
Okay, great. Let me give you 2 examples right from IIIT-Delhi. Laptop scheme cannot happen from the institute. Cannot happen from the institute because the institute money is public money. Some student will run away And then the institute will be running around all kinds of audit questions, this, that. It can only happen from personal money. Behind the scenes, I've told them, well, we'll do that. Within a year, student, if the student leaves within a year, he has to return, etc. But hey, if he doesn't, that's write-off. Write-off you and I can do. Institute write-off is a big problem. Okay, let me give you another example. Students were, so we did a survey through the student, this thing. How many students during COVID need emergency help? As it turned out, there was quite a few. Again, we said, hey, look, it needs funds with the willingness to be able to write it off. So we said it's an emergency loan to the students to be returned with a certain period of time, not telling them, but internally knowing that it will be written off if the student is not capable of returning. We are not going to run after the student ki bhai aapne 6 mahina ho gaya, saal ho gaya, you haven't returned the money. Unfortunately, it took a year before the student council could get an account open, or 6 months or whatever, right? Then I gave some money, and I think 4 or 5 students did. Similarly, I've done something for the outsourced staff. And there I'm very happy to see some 50 people have benefited from that. None of this can happen without that. So you're absolutely on the dot. I also want to look for that my money is making a difference. I'm giving it, I would like it to make a difference, not just replace something that would have otherwise. So everywhere where you try to support, there are agencies will say if you give money, X amount of cataract operations will happen. So N number have happened because you gave that money for it. So you're right. I also look for that, and I ask for certain amount of sort of accounting, if you will. Not accounting. What's the impact? What is the impact of this money?
Yeah, thank you. That's thanks for sharing.
Okay, so does anybody else has a question? Or I mean, if anybody else wants to ask any question, or we can move ahead with the presentation of the projects from Student Affairs.
I had a question again to Dr. Jalote. So Dr. Jalote mentioned, like, even in the beginning of your talk, about that aspect of transparency in philanthropy and while giving. It's a key role, and when you're giving, you do want to see your whatever the cause that you've given for, to some level it gets accomplished. And even right now, like to the second half, you mentioned that. So I was wondering what, like, given we are a research-based institute, what role do you think technology can play in improving the aspect of transparency and trust? And specifically, like, this is a broader challenge, but let's say just from the institute perspective, what we could do.
I haven't thought. I'm sure there is technology can play a important role in a lot of stuff, but I haven't thought about it. There's lots of people who have written how technology can be made to help in transparency and accountability and all that. And one can think of a lot of ideas, but I haven't given this matter a serious thought. So I'm sorry, I don't have any insightful answers to this.
If I can just add something here, Professor Jalote.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know at what scale Apoorv is really thinking about this question, and perhaps all of us need to. So thanks, Apoorv, for nudging in that direction. But some of the ways in which technology has already enabled this kind of an accountability for us are some things we experience around us every day. For example, right? Suppose in this alumni fundraiser, you make a contribution of, say, 5K to a certain cause. The fact that technology will enable an automated transfer, the fact that technology will also enable us to issue a receipt in your name, is already establishing a certain transparency at a very rapid pace for us, right? So while I'm not thinking really at a much larger scale, but I think there are already ways in which some of this is becoming.
I think he may be looking at a much bigger issue.
Yeah, he is. I'm sure he is.
Is all very straightforward, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he is looking at a much larger scale, but there are these smaller ways of accounting transparency in terms of everyday interactions, which technology is already enabled for us.
So it's good just to end up, because I don't think there's any other, there may not be any questions. While you think of these larger and other issues, I think it's also, when giving is going to be a personal, individual thing. You can also make groups to give. So while you think of larger issues, etc., but you have to also think of what is it that you want to contribute. Where is it that you want to make a difference through your contributions, and what form those contributions will take. Right. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
so
you very much for this time and listening to me. Thank you.
thank you so much, sir, for joining today and for having a hearty conversation with our alumni. Now, next we have, so we basically now start with the project presentations, right? So I would like to invite Dr. Sujay Dev, the Associate Dean of Student Affairs. So, sir, over to you now.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. And really happy to see some of the faces. Parikshit, Apurv, Raghav, and many of you are not turning on your camera. Plus, feel free to turn on your camera. And it's definitely not going to be a project presentation, so don't worry. So I'll keep it simple and as interactive as possible. But since it's a very serious event, and as Professor Jalote has already pointed out, very nice initiatives which IIIT took, mostly driven by Professor Jalote's initiatives, and their impact we can see. And like many of you graduated basically some time back and may not have clear understanding about how big IIIT student community is and how diverse it is. So just to highlight, like we have almost 3,000 students, and a significant part of that population comes from not so privileged background, and they do get 100% fee waiver, etc. But as Professor Jalote has highlighted, without a basic equipment like laptop, it becomes very difficult to, especially in the online mode, it becomes extremely difficult for students to remain in competition. So I'll very brief. I have a presentation, so I'll just to give you some numbers and highlight that how it has impacted the laptop scheme specifically. I'll show you this thing. So broadly, we can look at the different initiatives or different activities, student-related activities are academic and non-academic. So like I'm giving a very, very loose classification. So under academic, like I'm like we are putting the laptop scheme primarily, where there are opportunities where alumni can make a huge, huge impact. There are non-academic affairs, which I'll come to, but I'll start with the laptop scheme. So as you all know, this COVID hit us very suddenly. And then we had to move completely online, and the students who could use the lab facilities, the libraries, etc., they were forced to work from home. And definitely mobile is not a adequate platform to do all their stuff, etc. And that time Professor Jalote took this initiative, and we identified the needy students who were in need of laptop. And in the first year, I think almost 33 students were benefited, and it was completely taken care by Professor Jalote's initiative. And subsequent year also it was online, and again we had a sizable number of students, and all of them got whoever was in need of it, we could provide them. Now we are looking and we are asking your support to continue this scheme, because going forward we will have similar students who will be joining IIIT, and to make the best possible best out of IIIT, they will need this support. And this is a very, very transparent and very, very impactful work, where you can directly contribute. You can basically come forward and support one laptop, multiple laptop, or basically as a group you can come up with supporting this laptop. So Professor Jalote has mentioned he will he will possibly continue for one more year, but for basically we need alumni to come forward and take this scheme at a larger scale. And as already has been highlighted, institute on its own can't provide that support directly. So please, this is one very, very important initiative, and I'm sure all of you will be able to connect with it and support us in carrying forward this scheme. And feel free to come up with innovative name, the way you want to implement. As you guys all know, we are agile, flexible. We will try to accommodate your requests, and we will try to make it wherever, if there is more transparency, more let's say impact can be generated by some new ideas, we will be very happy to incorporate that. Okay, so of course, students did benefited hugely. They also appreciated it. They gave feedback, positive feedback about this scheme, etc. So all these things are documented, and these are also available on our webpage. This detailed feedback. We are also planning to make this scheme sustainable and self-sustaining. We are trying to take, going forward, we'll have some pledge also signed by the students who gets benefited by the scheme, so that whenever they in future can contribute and come back and support this scheme, they will be doing that. So that's of course a soft pledge. There is no binding, but still we want them to take this pledge. Hopefully it will have a greater impact. So I'll pause here for a moment, and if you guys want to know any specific thing about this laptop scheme, I'll be, I along with other Professor Jalote is here, and also Student Affairs Office Bearer Ravi is here. So we will be happy to answer if you have any specific question or query regarding this scheme.
Hi everyone. I had a small thought. So some of the charities that I've been associated with, I've supported Wikipedia, for example, and they allow you to have monthly contributions like SIPs. I found them to be very helpful, and I cannot get a big amount out at a certain point, but over time, those small amounts can add up. So I'm sorry for my ignorance, but does IIIT's system support that kind of investment, donations over time, like small donations over multiple months?
So as I know, the portals are open all the time, right, Paro? So you can donate at any time, any amount.
Paro, it's like automating it, like where
okay, automated deduction. Possibly it's not enabled. Yeah, but definitely we can think about it, and we will see like what are the if there is any particular challenge or anything specific we need to do. But I don't think it should be too difficult to set up. That's my guess.
So, so here I would like to say something. So basically, the alumni donations are being collected through a third party, that is the Alma Connect portal, right? And currently we do not have this feature of collecting the payments automatically, like a month you said, like by default it should be deducted. So we look into that, although, but I mean, I'm not sure how we can incorporate that, but yeah, we really, we would take this feedback that has been given, and let's see if we can work something out of this.
Yeah, I think that would be great, because say if I cannot give 50,000 right away, but I can give 5,000 or 12 months, so that would possibly work out better. I think if you can look into that, would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think like Professor Jalote also mentioned, and like Sujay sir also said, that if you can also donate as a group as well, right? So not as an individual, but if you want to donate for the laptop scheme, so you can partner with any other alumni and then you can donate a multiple of the amount that is for one laptop. So that can also be there.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other quick clarification regarding the laptop scheme? All right then. So now, apart from the laptop scheme, as also during the COVID period, there was again there was sudden need for financial support for many of the students, and as Professor Jalote mentioned, we have a student welfare fund where alumni is most welcome, and this kind of funds are used for several initiatives. For example, many of these kind of students who are let's say on 100% fee waiver getting laptop, but sometimes they need to stay in the hostel, but even paying the hostel fees sometimes becomes difficult for many of these students. So we have helped students with their hostel fees. We have also help them during medical emergencies, and several this kind of events where there was sudden need of fund. Some students lost their parents and they needed support, etc. So that kind of activities we initiated through the student welfare fund. Apart from that, we have several clubs, as all of you are aware of. Now, again, clubs are supported by IIIT, but if you are closely associated or you have been closely associated with some clubs and you want to initiate some activities through the clubs, etc., feel free, and we will be very happy to accommodate and also get your feedback, the things which we can improve. For example, the sports facilities or certain club activities. I'm sure many of you were part of the FUBER club. If you want to help the FUBER club or their certain activities, feel free to. We have much better medical facility now, but we can definitely improve on that things. So, right now our activities are very well documented and updated on the student welfare, student affairs tab in the web page. So, and we do publish a newsletter every month highlighting all the activities student affairs took part in. So please feel free to basically go through them, identify anything which you want to get connected, and we will be very happy to accommodate and take your feedback and take it forward from there. Apart from that, basically, as we have highlighted that Professor Jalote as well as the director, Professor Bose, has highlighted, after the COVID, there was a huge need for looking into the well-being of students very, very carefully, because of the amount of stress, being in the online mode all the time with huge amount of screen time. Students were feeling the heat, and their mental well-being was really, really getting affected. So we took several initiatives. We have a very active yoga activities, and it went through during the pandemic every 3-4 days per week, every week. And apart from that, we also organized several other activities related to well-being, and we have also partnered with Your Dost now. So all the students of IIIT with a active, in fact, it's a right forum to also highlight, if your IIIT email ID is active, so you are also eligible to create an account in Your Dost and get counseling services for free. So anybody holding a IIIT email ID is eligible to sign up for free in your Dost and take their take their services. So please feel free to pass this message and make best out of the this thing. Apart from that, like we for last at least 3-4 years, we are taking this different events like induction very seriously. Induction, farewell, soft induction kind of activities we are conducting, so that we remind students every year that okay, we discussed about these facilities 1 year back. Now just a reminder that these facilities are there, so so that they can make best use of it. During induction, just to highlight, like last induction, we also we now give a book as part of welcome gift, and we have been giving different kind of books. I think last one we gave was the Go Giver, and it's a very nice and very easy read, maybe a few hours of your time. Please do read. It's a good book, and it will also possibly give you some perspective about why giving is so important. Apart from that, we do have this student mentorship program, which all of you are aware of, but we have been trying to also engage with alumni, so that alumni can also be mentors of our existing students. And I know many of you can share really good insights, and that's why we have this alumni talks, alumni meets with the current students. And that's where I think our student mentorship program will also hugely get benefited by the involvement of alumni. So yeah, so these are the few things. Of course, I have not gone in any particular manner, and I have not given you an exhaustive list of activities which Student Affairs is doing. For that, I think we will have other sessions, and but hopefully I could give you a glimpse of the things which we are doing and where we need your support. And I'll be very happy to basically interact with you and understand if you have any queries or any specific things you want to know. Yeah, I'll stop here and wait for your queries or questions or clarifications.
So
I had one question. Can folks hear me?
Yeah, Raghav, go ahead.
Yeah, the question was like outside of like laptops and then unforeseen like sort of financial hardship, are there any other reasons that is there any other analysis or understanding of why students from underprivileged backgrounds, like whether they're doing as well as other students, or if their outcomes are different in some way?
So I'm not sure. Are you asking about academically how they are doing, or any other parameter specific?
Not just academically, but also like placements and like basically, I mean, how much their life sort of improves or changes as a result of going to IIIT as versus what it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, we don't have, I guess, a very well collected data regarding this, because also this has some basically you are trying to in a way you try to it has to be done in the background, otherwise it will be creating a I guess tension among the students, etc. But
yeah,
as
definitely yeah.
As far as I know, there was no distinguishable difference between a student who is coming from a, let's say, underprivileged background compared to any other student, because ultimately their achievements, etc., had no bearing on where they are coming from. And definitely I could sense and see the impact of the support they get at IIIT Delhi. And since you know our campus is very inclusive, whether you are coming from a economically background or some other, let's say, disability, etc., we make everyone at home, and we really don't treat anybody differently, and that has been the
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that people's goals are definitely good. I guess what I'm pushing for is not to do anything, but to at least look at the data and come back and see if there's so that it tells us whether there are other things that we should be thinking about as well.
True. So that's a very good point, Raghav. And this actually will make more sense because we are seeing that students are coming from diverse background, and that also has impact on their preparedness. And definitely and it has, I could see this impact maybe since last two batches, because also COVID had a huge role to play because they were not here in the campus. So they really could not learn or get the most of IIIT peer learning and all the other facilities which we have. So definitely this is something which we have to take care, and that's why the mentorship program, etc., will play a huge role. That's in my opinion.
I'd just like to add 2 cents to that in the same vein. One of the metrics that has kind of been used, I've seen a lot of other academic institutions outside India, is social mobility impact. If we can have any those kind of numbers, I'm not sure if that was what Raghav was also referring to, but if those kind of numbers can be computed, that those would be great. And if and how alumni donations are affecting that would also be very helpful.
Definitely. So
Yeah, that's the metric I was looking for. Thank you, Pariksha.
Yeah, sure.
So we need to start collecting data because it's very early days. I think, as I mentioned, like last 2 years only, our number of seats has also increased, and we are getting a lot of students from diverse background. So I think we should start collecting data now, and we'll definitely have a sense that how it helps.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Sujay, for your presentation. And I hope that you all must have got a bit of clarity, like what the student affairs is actually, looking for. And Raviji, would you like to add something to this?
Sir, can I add one point? Yeah.
Sure. Please go ahead.
Actually, the concerns of our students are RLMs are very good and important. The point is like the students who are coming from this background, from the backward background, basically they are facing challenges. Now we are getting it. They're not able to, they don't have the hostel fee to pay. And if a student is in the hostel and the student is at home in a tier 2 or tier 3 city of India, then there are a lot of challenges also during that COVID time. So these are the challenges we are facing on a regular basis, but whatever we can do from our end, like we have started those things. So, but this collection of data, that definitely would help us in the coming year, and definitely we would love to share the things with our LMs on that. Surely. So Dipali, yeah.
Yeah, so okay. Thank you so much, Raviji. So now we can move to the next presentation. So basically, as you all must be aware that IIITD has already been leveraging an entrepreneurial mindset at the institute, right, to maximize the research output here. And so we have here Vibhor Jain from the IIITD Innovation and Incubation Center. So, and we are hoping that with alumni support, we can actually foster that environment here at IIITD to support this entrepreneurial, basically that environment which can help us, give that environment with which the students of IIITD, they have that idea which can be converted into a commercial startup or something, right? So Vibhor, over to you now. I'll just share my screen because Vibhor is out somewhere, right? So I have his presentation here.
Thanks a lot, Dipali, for the introduction and setting up the context and inviting us to the Alumni Fundraiser. And yeah, so hi, good evening, everyone. So I'll just briefly start by introducing IIIT-D Innovation and Incubation Center. Some of you might be already knowing that what Incubation Center at IIIT-D is doing. And but still I'll just give you a brief introduction that IIIT-D Incubation Center is a very young and very young organization starting in 2017, a Section 8 company being promoted by IIIT-Delhi, and we are being supported by Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of NCT Delhi, and also by DSIDC. And we also have exemption under Section 80G or 12A of income tax to receive donations. So, Dipali, can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah. So basically, as I already mentioned, that we are being promoted by IIIT Delhi. So the startups we prefer are basically in tech areas that have that IIIT-D has an expertise, like AI, drone, image processing, robotics, CB, computational biology, mobile computing. All these are areas where IIIT Delhi has an expertise. So we prefer to have startups in such areas so that we can help them through the expertise of our host institute and provide them the best out of their incubation that we provide. Yep. So this facility for incubating startups. So a whole floor of seminar building floor is dedicated for the incubation center. We have a seating capacity of around 185 workstations with meeting rooms, pantry, recreational area. And along with that, we also provide them with various other supports like these networking support, IT infrastructure. Dipali, you can move to the next slide. Yep. So this is a design and innovation lab that is being supported by Incubation Center. So here we provide all the tools and equipments necessary for tinkering or hardware prototyping facility. Like if you want, if you have some idea that needs, Dipali, can you please take? Yeah, thanks. Dipali, just go back. Yep. So here I was mentioning that we have facilities like 3D printers, laser cutting machines, sewing machines, PCB fabrication, and many other equipments which you might be needing to develop your hardware prototypes. So if you have any hardware-based idea, like just to share one example, you might be knowing about the success of Tweak Labs. They recently got featured in Shark Tank. So they also developed their prototype in this design and innovation lab only. Yep, Dipali, you can go ahead. Yeah, so these are some of the offerings that the Incubation Center provides to the startups, like tech and business mentoring through IIIT faculty, researchers, and we have other mentors as well. The Design and Innovation Lab, which just now I mentioned. Then access to various technology or R&D labs at IIIT-D, along with the various centers through collaboration with a faculty or a researcher. Next slide. Yeah, then tech support like servers, cloud infrastructure, GPU, softwares, then networking and outreach support, access to events and activities being done at IIIT or outside, then various benefits of IIIT Delhi like interns, hostel, mess, library. So these all facilities are available to the startups that get incubated at IIIT-D Innovation and Incubation Center. The startup may be from outside, by IIIT student, by alumni, or means anyone. So all these benefits are common for the startups incubating at our incubation center. Dipali, next slide. Yeah, so this is the team of Incubation Center. So Mr. Naresh Priyadarshi, he is the CEO. Alok Nikhil Jha is the Chief Operating Officer. Geeta Gupta, she is the Chief Finance Officer. Then I, Vibhor Jain, I'm the Manager Incubation. Then Mr. Rakesh Ranjan Mishra, he's also the Manager Finance and Accounts. And Mr. Naresh Kumar, he's the Manager Admin. So in all, we have a whole experienced team wherein you'll get all sort of our wide experienced team helps in all aspects to the startups, like be it business or tech or finance, legal. We have kind of a team which has expertise in all those domains. Mr. Naresh Priyadarshi, he has a corporate experience consulting, then incubation. Alok, he himself has built his own startup, then has worked in corporate as well. Ms. Geeta Gupta, she's a chartered accountant and has experience of legal and consultancy as well. I have experience in marketing and business administration. Then Mr. Rakesh, he has experience in working with government departments. And then Mr. Naresh, he has an experience in working with admin of various corporates, including EY, TCS, etc. So in all, we have a good experienced team which provides support to our startups in all fields, whatever they require. And apart from that, as I already mentioned, we have a pool of mentors as well for other services, like be it legal, be it consulting or mentoring or any other sort of help that they require. We have a pool of mentors as well. Dipali, can you move? Yeah. So this is the impact that we have created till now. So in all, we have incubated around 49 startups. And if you go to supporting, so we have supported more than around 70 startups. Means the remaining, they did not got formally incubated, but we have supported them in some or the other way. 16 startups have graduated. So currently we have around 33 startups in all. And majorly you can see that we have startups in AI or machine learning, because that is the biggest strength of IIIT as well. And then mobile computing, and then signal processing, wireless technologies. So we have startups in these domains mostly working on these tech areas. So as I earlier mentioned, that we prefer startups in those who have some alignment towards technology, means tech or deep technologies. Because we want them to leverage the expertise of IIIT-Delhi and not just incubate for kind of working space or just for the namesake. So we want them to leverage our expertise. So that's why we prefer startups in the tech area, in the thrust areas of our expertise. Yep, Dipali, next slide. So this is our startup portfolio, the logos of some of the startups that have incubated at our center. So, yep. So, now coming to what we are looking from alumni. So, except for the kind of general fundraiser, we are also planning for an alumni incubation desk where the alumni can donate for the fees that the startups have to pay to IIIT Innovation and Incubation Center for getting incubated at the center. So they have to pay a monthly fee. So we are looking to support the student and alumni startup through these funds and get their fees paid through this donated funds. So herein we can, means the alumni can choose any of the startups for which they want to get their fees paid or want to support them, and then we can kind of get their fees paid from that fund. Or we can plan for other mode of support as well, where we can the alumni can support as a grant or for particular R&D purpose, means research purpose, product development, for any other purpose that you may want to support the startup. So we have a list of startups that are currently, means list of alumni student startups as well, that are currently leveraging the incubation facility. So like these are some of the names. Swapico, so the founder being Mukul Chabda. So they are a digital waste management and recycling platform. Mukul started his journey from second year itself, and they have been a recipient of alumni fellowship as well. Then next is Electrosoft. So they are providing edtech services where they provide quality content and counseling services to the fresh graduates or sorry, so fresh graduates and means people who are looking to learn new services. Next slide, please, Dipali. So yeah, so Spurtastic. So Rohan and Royal, these are recent graduates, and they have developed a mobile app wherein people can place orders through Instagram or WhatsApp. Like means if you if you are using like Instagram, you might have seen that to make an order currently on Instagram, you might have seen that marketing tool. So if you click on it, you are redirected to a different merchant website. So they have created a kind of tool wherein you can place an order through direct chat on Instagram. So then we have StimVeda. So they are creating a kind of headband for providing this depression treatment and management of antidepressants for elderlies. So they are trying to kind of create a home solution wherein people don't have to visit the hospitals for getting their treatment. They can get an initial treatment at home itself. And then next we have Riot. Dipali, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, so this is Riot. So Dimple is also currently pursuing his MTech from IIIT. So he is also creating a solution for mental health and assistive device to help patients in Parkinson, obesity, and pain. So these are some of the startups that are incubated at IIIT-Delhi and are by students or alumni of IIIT. So like Mukul and Robin, Mukul, Robin, Royal, and Ramya, all four are alumni. Dimple is currently pursuing his master's. So he's a student itself. Next slide. Yeah, so thanks a lot. And except for that, I'll also just give you a brief that we also support alumni who are willing to launch their startups. We have a fellowship scheme as well, and except for that, if you want to directly associate with some startup or help them with your network or any other assistance that you directly want to provide, we can connect you with them as well, wherein you can have direct kind of collaboration with them. So it is an extra, means it is not directly linked to Fundraiser, but an option as well to connect with the startups, means alumni or student startups, and you can help your peers. Yep. So I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Vibhu, for showcasing these startups by our alumni and students. So if anybody has any questions they want to ask.
Vibhor, I'll connect with you also offline about like how alumni can help with mentorship. I think that's one area where the Alumni Association can work with the ESL.
Definitely, Apoor, you can connect with me.
Yep.
So is there anybody else who has a question? So I have already shared the link in the chat if you want to donate for this cause, and we'll be sending a mail shortly with this link as well, right? So I think we should call it a night and day for other people who have joined from US, right? So thank you everyone for joining us for this very first virtual fundraiser, right? And I can actually see a few donations. So, I mean, so I think I would consider this as little success, right? But yeah, as Professor Jalote had mentioned that we need to, learn from basically the suggestions that he mentioned. So we would definitely work on this, and I mean, Apu and I, we will definitely get in touch with it, how we can, improve on this and what actually alumni seek in such kind of events. So yeah, we would
Can
definitely
I just come in for a moment, maybe?
Yeah, sure, Dr. Paro.
So thank you guys for sort of staying through the duration of the event, and also to those who have already donated, are contemplating. But I wanted to plug in a completely different thing here at the moment. Now that this is an opportunity that we are talking, in person to some of you, I just want to remind everyone, although the email has already gone out, that from this year, we're also nominating our alumni for Young Alumni Award. This will be the first year Young Alumni Awards will be given, and we'll be extremely, extremely grateful if you can nominate either yourself or you can nominate someone else who you deem appropriate for a young Alumni Award based on the detailed guidelines, which might have already been shared by Dipali. We really look forward to receiving a lot of nominations so that there is tough sort of work at the end of the, the panel, which is going to finally recommend the name. Please make sure you all are doing fabulous work. And some of you who have sort of, been a part of institutions several years back now, you've already gained your footing into the world. We would really expect all of you to come forward and make the first Young Alumni Award a success, and also set the precedents for the remaining years. Thank you so much for your very active participation. Thank you.